to carry out a nationwide investigation of Falun Gong, with the intention of finding charges to justify a ban on Falun Gong. After it was reported from around the country that no evidence had been found, Logan issued a circular entitled Notice Regarding the Investigation of Falun Gong through the First Bureau of the Public Security Ministry. First, he charged Falun Gong with being an evil cult, and then he ordered the police departments across the country to investigate Falun Gong systematically, using undercover personnel to collect evidence. However, there certainly was a balance in everyone's heart. Many undercover public security personnel also themselves started practicing Falun Gong after they acquainted themselves with Falun Gong during the investigation. So the investigation ended up with nothing definite. Hence, the CCP had to utilize its entire organization if it wanted to suppress Falun Gong. Before this organization possessed by the evil specter, the CCP, could begin to crack down on Falun Gong, it needed the right person to initiate the mechanisms of suppression. How the head of the CCP handled the issue was crucial. As an individual, the CCP's head could possess both goodness and evil, two opposite aspects of human nature. If he chose to follow his good side, then he could temporarily restrain an eruption of the vile party nature. Otherwise, the evil nature of the CCP would manifest fully. History has given Jiang Zemin the chance to choose. However, he started his career by lying about his past, so of course he is afraid of the truth. Through suppressing people, he quickly became successful and powerful, so of course he dislikes compassion. He maintained his power through political struggles inside the party, so of course he dislikes tolerance. From a small incident, we can tell how extremely petty and jealous Jiang Zemin is. The museum at Hemudu Cultural Ruins in Yuyao County, Zhejiang Province, is a major historical and cultural site under state conservation. Originally, it was Qiao Shi, a former high-level party official, who wrote the inscription for the museum. In September 1992, Jiang Zemin saw Qiao Shi's inscription when he visited the museum, and his face turned dark and gloomy. The accompanying personnel were very nervous, as they knew that Jiang could not stand Qiao Shi, and that Jiang liked to show off so much that he would want to write an inscription wherever he went. In May 1993, using renovations as an excuse, the museum replaced Qiao Shi's inscription with one of Jiang's before the reopening. Mao Zedong is said to have 4 volumes of profound and powerful writing, whereas the selected works of Deng Xiaoping had his cat theory with its flavor of practicality. Jiang Zemin exhausted his brain but could only come up with 3 sentences, yet he claimed to have come up with the so-called 3 represents. Regardless, the party members still didn't respect Jiang Zemin, even a little bit. They spread gossip about his affair with a singer, about the embarrassing episodes where he sang in public when he traveled abroad, and his diplomatic faux pas of combing his hair in front of the King of Spain. When the founder of Falun Gong, Mr. Li Hongshi, who was born as an ordinary civilian, gave a lecture, the lecture hall would be filled with professors, experts, and Chinese students studying abroad. Many people with doctorates or master's degrees flew thousands of miles to listen to his lectures. Mr. Li lectured on the stage for several hours, and he did so eloquently without referring to any notes. Afterwards, the lecture could be transcribed and published as a book. All these things were unbearable to Jiang Zemin, who was vain, jealous, and petty. Jiang Zemin lives an extremely lavish, lustful, and corrupt life. He spent over $110 million, almost a billion Chinese yuan, to build a luxurious airplane for his own use. Jiang often drew money from the public funds, by the tens of billions of Chinese yuan for his son to do business. He used nepotism to promote his relatives and his minions to high-ranking posts above the ministerial level, and he resorted to desperate and extreme measures in covering up for his cronies' corruption and crimes. For all these reasons, Zhang is afraid of Falun Gong's moral authority. He is even more afraid that the concepts addressed by Falun Gong, involving topics such as heaven and hell, the principle of good being rewarded with good and bad being met with bad, he is afraid that these are indeed real. Although Jiang Zemin wholeheartedly intended to exterminate Falun Gong out of his own personal spite, he was incapable of doing much, as Falun Gong is rooted in traditional Chinese culture and has become so popular as to gain a broad social basis. Of the 7 members of the Politburo, Jiang Zemin was the only one who insisted on the suppression of Falun Gong. On July 19, 1999, Jiang Zemin chaired a conference of the CCP's highest-ranking officials. Zhang gave the excuse that suppressing Falun Gong was related to the survival of the party and the country. This touched the CCP's most sensitive nerve. Jiang Zemin's attempt to maintain his personal power and the CCP's attempt to maintain one-party rule came together on this point. So, the party nature abdicated common sense and human nature once again. Zhang and the CCP Central Committee came to a unified understanding and decided to launch a massive crackdown on Falun Gong. Now just imagine if the head of the CCP at that time had been someone other than Jiang Zemin. The suppression of Falun Gong would not have taken place. In that respect, we can say that the CCP used Jiang Zemin. On the other hand, if the CCP had not incurred so many bloody debts with its scoundrel, immoral, and savage nature, it would not have considered Falun Gong to be a threat. Without the CCP's complete and pervasive control over every part of society, Jiang Zemin's intention to suppress Falun Gong would not have the organization, financing, and propaganda it needed. It wouldn't have had the support of the country's diplomats, judiciary, and so on. In this respect, we can say that Jiang Zemin used the CCP. During the Central Committee's working conference in 1999, in which the suppression of Falun Gong was ordered, Jiang Zemin claimed, "I just don't believe that the CCP can't beat Falun Gong." His words instigated and strengthened the will and arrogance of suppression on the one hand, and on the other hand they also exposed the CCP's realization of its own impending doom. The suppression was insane and hysterical from the beginning. In 1999, during the Apex Summit held in New Zealand, Jiang Zemin completely dispensed with any pretense and handed out pamphlets defaming Falun Gong to every one of the heads of state of the more than 10 countries attending the conference. He labeled Falun Gong an evil cult in front of the foreign media. By taking advantage of the CCP's organizational principle that the entire membership of the party is subordinate to the Central Committee, Jiang Zemin passed orders to set up the Office for Dealing with the Falun Gong issue in the Central Committee on June 7, 1999, the 610 Office. The 610 Office technically reports to the State Council, but in fact it is a party organization that is allowed to exist outside of the established framework of the